Well, happy Tuesday. It's time to do this week's video. And get ready. Well, hello everybody. Honestly, I couldn't think of what I was going to talk about today. But thanks to Mike, I do have a topic. If you saw my last video, at the cross, that was a video about how Randy French pointed out that um, only Paul spoke about the completed work of the cross and talked about the cross often in his letters, yet Peter, James, and John never mentioned the cross because they never understood the completed work of the cross. Now, after I did that video, Mike pointed out to me also something, and that was that Paul also talked many times, spoke often of the redemption being at the cross, and he mentions redemption in numerous of his epistles. Yet, again, Peter, James, and John haven't got a clue, don't talk about it. It is nowhere in their radar. So I thought, out of all of the mentions of redemption, I actually decided to talk about the mentions that are in Hebrews. Now, Hebrews is most likely written by Paul. It talks about everything he talks about in Romans and other letters. It's very much written in his style, but nobody knows for sure if it was Paul, but it was probably Paul. And so I'm going to use this passage as an example. It's actually chapter 9 in Hebrews. Now, in chapter 9, he's talking about how the old temple was built by hands and that priests sacrificed bulls and goats every year, and every year it had to be done over. And that was under the First Testament. First Testament meaning First Covenant, or Old Covenant now, as we call it. And then in verse 11 he switches. Now he's talking about Jesus. He just ended how everything worked with the Old Covenant tabernacle that was made with human hands. And he says, beginning in verse 11, but Christ being come and high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption, having obtained, past tense, eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and goats, and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctifieth to purify the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? And for this cause he is mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the First Testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Now he's saying the New Testament, the New Covenant, is established. All of those things were Old Covenant things, and that redemption which happened by his blood, the shedding of his blood on that cross, redeemed us all at the cross. Now, this stuff in Paul's letters in modern Christianity gets mixed together with all the letters of Peter, James, and John, and they do not separate them. Because in Peter, James, and John, when they talk about any kind of redeeming, they tell you to redeem yourself. They never use the word redemption, but basically they are imposing upon their readers that they have to redeem themselves through obedience to the law and good works. They did not understand redemption. They did not understand the completed work of the cross. I know it's bold. I know it's revolutionary. Have a revolutionary week.